My first house that I bought had a mauve toilet, tub.
Oh yeah, matching
sink.
Yeah.
And all the little, like, of course, you didn't have soap dispensers when they built houses back then. It was like the soap holders.
Yeah.
And the little toothbrush holders.
Yeah.
And it was all permanent. Like, it was in the tile. Like,
Right.
it
They'll
wasn't
get rid of
like
it.
you were just going to unbolt that and take it off. It's there.
It went
you know?
to the bones
Yeah,
of the house.
it went to the bone. Yeah. So you're like, if you want to change that soap dispenser, you got to rip out the entire bathroom.
Right.
It's,
Hope you like Pepto-Bismol color.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, actually, Evan's house that he's renovating right now, the shower is this color. And it's one of those ones that's like the spaceship shower. You get in it and you're like encapsulated. I mean, I don't know why they did that, but it like goes all the way over the
It's
top.
like a plastic
Yeah.
insert thing. Whatever.
Yeah, and then it's got the light in the top of it, but it's a little bit darker than this. But his tub, and I think that house.
That's
is like,
commitment.
I think that house is built in like '92.
It's like you get in and it's like being baptized in a whole vat of Pepto-Bismol.
He's trying to figure out if he can paint them or what he can do to not have to rip everything out.
Man.
Yeah, you know how styles cycle back. Now it's like your grandma's house is starting to be kind of a cool thing again.
Oh, it's coming back. Yeah,
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
like the tweed wallpaper. It's coming back.
Mauve better never come back. Ever.
Mom jeans are coming
Mauve.
back, so
Mom
mauve
jeans.
may come back. So
Mauve.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so speaking of Evan in college, kind of knocking some things out, and we wanted to talk about kind of what is the value of college. Where is that at today? You've got certain books like Charlie Kirk. What was that book you mentioned, Paul, that he wrote?
The college scam, or
The College Scam.
yeah,
You know, yours are kind of beyond college. Mine are coming into college. You've got one, Royce, that's getting ready to start college. Adam, our director, is saving for his to go to college. But did you go, Royce? Do you have a college degree?
I do not.
Not in no. Have you done any online classes or anything?
I have not.
Okay, Paul, what about you?
yeah, I did a 4-year degree,
Where at?
Ohio Christian. It was theology.
Okay,
So I went to Bible school, and then I went back to an accredited school.
okay. So
Yep.
you're the non-accredited. So you went to 2 different schools.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you know, a lot of these small Bible colleges are about like high school on steroids. You
Yeah.
know, it's not real difficult. But I found as an adult, going back for education was very valuable to me because it led me down the path of reading and learning I was very hungry for. So I think that I got more than the education they were giving me because I was looking for it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I was hungry for it. So kind of overachieved for my own reasons, you know, not chasing a grade or whatever.
Yeah. I got my associate's degree through a community college that was partnered with the University of Kentucky in Madisonville, just in business. And then since then, I really want to get my associate's or finish my bachelor's degree in anthropology. So I'm kind of not even halfway there yet, but took some classes through UMass Dartmouth. And it was a really good experience, but very expensive. And I think that's one of the things that Charlie Kirk is getting at on his podcast or on his book that he wrote was that, you know, it's very expensive.
Yeah.
Very
Exorbitant.
expensive to go.
Yeah.
And some of these schools that, you know, you want to get in they're not easy to get in. They've got huge endowment funds. There's also been a lot of controversy in the last couple years with anti-Semitic type movements, whether they're favoring, you know, this group of people or that group of people. So it's become quite a sticky situation.
For you, was it you know, kind of you have to ask yourself, is the juice worth the squeeze? You know, the ticket price gives you pause, and you're like, or was it more of a time constraint issue for you?
The reason why I haven't finished,
Yeah.
for me, it became more of a time constraint. I mean, like if you look at the anthropology degree in general, one of the things that I feel like that's one area you would have to go, is because there's a certain area of experience that you have to have, and you're only going to get that from being with other people who are already anthropologists. So it's not like going to dental school or medical school, right? I mean, so I don't think we would ever say, hey, I want a surgeon to work on me that just read it on Wikipedia. I don't think that's kind of what we're getting at. But what we want to get into is like, what are some things? I mean, Royce, you're very well learned. I mean, I've got a couple buddies who listen to this podcast, and they're like, when Royce talks, I need to make sure I have my dictionary pulled up over here on the side for all the words that he throws out sometimes.
I would say that I'm just a mouse in the labyrinth of Royce's brain.
And yet I'm the most undereducated here.
Yeah. Well, that kind of proves a point, though. I mean, it can prove a point. It's all about your hunger. I mean, you think about our founding fathers. Much of their education was not formal. It was maybe tutored,
right?
But they were just readers,
right. Yeah, my story with higher education is somewhat sad. I would have gone, but was discouraged by my spiritual mentor to not go.
He felt like that was superficial.
Yeah, and I think it was definitely control, but it was also like, what could you possibly learn that I couldn't teach you? Absolutely, really dark. Yeah. So
and you're saying that. I mean, we laughed at it, but you're not just saying that tongue in cheek. It's for real. Like that. That was really what was said.
It was probably a little worse. Like almost offended that I would want to go on.
Yeah, super controlling and manipulative for sure.
Yeah. So what that did is that kind of set me in motion, and I've been really busy, but I've always been voracious in reading and hungry to learn, and I might be gifted a bit with just things I'm passionate about, they stick. That's what I would say. So the ability to recall some things seems to be a little bit easier if I like it. If I don't like the things you don't like.
I forgot your name.
Yeah. Who are you again? No. But it's also something, even though I'm in my early 50s, that I would like to, with the way life is kind of shifting, I want to go back, and I'd like to kind of check that box. Not that I feel like I have to, but I do think there's some things to learn still.
The frustrating part then is that if you don't have those, a few credits, you're really starting at the bottom, and it's like you're not at the bottom. Mentally you're not at the bottom. Experientially you're not at the bottom. But to get to the higher degrees where you really would learn and get the most value, you got to do all this busy work. You know what I mean? It's like,
that's true too.
Yeah.
So you asked me, Paul, was it time or money?
Yeah.
So I think it's of note to talk about the money aspect. I mean, we're the three of us. I mean, we don't have unlimited resources, but we're also not just getting started. So a lot of people who are starting out, they're graduating high school and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do for their college degree. When we were all in our 18, 19, 20 years, we didn't have that much, So these college entry fees to get in, that's not what they call them, but that's really what it is. I mean, you go to a university school or a state-run school, you might be total all in around $85,000 to $100,000 for your 4-year degree. Where if you go to a private school, you're gonna spend over $200,000 for sure to go to a private school. And most of the statistics that we've looked at and studying is that the average college graduate is graduating with like $40,000 to $50,000 in debt, and the college national debt is like sitting at $1.7 trillion, almost $2 trillion. So, I mean, you asked the question, is the juice worth the squeeze? And I think we should talk about that for just a second, because that's a staggering amount for people.
I think part of the problem is you got a kid coming out of high school who really doesn't know a lot about themselves. I mean, think about who you were at 18 years old and who you are today. Could you have seen that path and known? So you are really an experiment, and a very expensive one, right? So kids are coming out, and unless they have backing, parental, legacy money, something or a
getting
scholarship.
Getting support from scholarships
Right.
or from parents. Yeah.
So my advice to somebody that would be coming out, that would be in that situation would be, don't sign up for the biggest ticket. I mean, go to community college, get some credits under your belt, see what you like, see what you're about, because I think the exercise of it is good, but just racing after something, most kids don't know what they're good at. Unless they've had some good coaching, they're just like a leaf in the wind. They don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And then if they take the time to invest in that and they miss the mark.
Yeah. Now you got 4 years of bills, right?
Yeah. Now you just got bills and you don't even know if that's where it's at. I mean, Royce, yours are all through those ages right now, and you got Sydney coming up. Like, where's that thinking at for her in terms of costing and what she wants to do next? Because she's in that age that Paul is talking about, like trying to make that decision right now.
Well, and it's similar to what Paul's saying. There's so much she doesn't know, and as a parent, I don't subscribe to pressuring her into a spot, because of the investment or even the status of that, because of my own story, right? There's a pressure that your kids need to go to this school and this needs to look that way. So we're wanting to support her in figuring it out, and she's very interested in videography and photography. So we're trying to encourage her to do some community college just to figure a few things out, get those basics, and then find a school that just specializes in those liberal arts.
Yeah.
And that seems to be the path right now, but that could change, so we want to help her.
Yeah, so interesting because, Preston was kind of like those same things. Video, right? He's 15, and he was really good at it. He understood the equipment. He understood the softwares. He had a real appetite for this. He would save money and buy equipment and do all this stuff, and you're like, well, that's a pretty big commitment for a 15-year-old,
Right.
to get into it. And so then when he was late in high school, he wanted to go to Votech, not just regular school. So in Ohio at the time, he was going to sign up, and then he tells me he wanted to be in a mechanic. And I said, Preston, I mean, you would be an amazing mechanic, no joke. But I'm just look at the path and go, how much money are you going to make, and what do you want to make, right? You might want to think about that like hobby-like, just think about it. So he took information technology. Long story, right? But anyway, I'm just going to show you the path of a kid that has proclivities but doesn't know what they want, right? So he went through information technology, learned a lot about computers and websites, and it added to the knowledge that he had. But then when he went to college, he decided he wanted to be an airline mechanic, which felt like it had a higher ceiling for me. So I gave him the thumbs up. Okay, so he's in college and he's working for FedEx, just loading boxes. They see he has a proclivity, technical, so they put him in the control room. He's running conveyor belts, he's opening doors, he's moving trucks, he's coordinating things, Well, by the time he got done with his degree, he's making more money at FedEx than he would as in a lead in a tech position than he would have as a mechanic.
Yeah.
And then Amazon picks him up, and I mean, he's making a boatload of money today. Has nothing to do with anything he did with his education. Probably the only thing he really used was his electrical knowledge that he got in the airline stuff, aircraft.
That seems to be more and more like the common story. Like you put all this time in for 4-5 years to get your degree, and then it's as if it's just a certification that you're worthy to be hired. And then,
which there's some merit in that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would look at that and say, hey,
in.
that's cool. Somebody finished something.
Right. But that you actually are utilizing, like doctors and lawyers, I'm sure, but that you're actually utilizing what you put all that time and money in. It seems to be a little frivolous too. I do think there's merit in that you've proven over 4 or 5 years that you will work, you push through, that says something, but man, it seems like there could be other ways to discover that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then he and his
and
wife
actually use what you're learning.
Yeah.
If you're going to learn it.
And then when they got married, they spend the first decade struggling to get this debt off of them, right? Because both of them had college degrees. And so that was a big factor in how they're moving forward as a family and the decisions they're making and some of the limitations that they had. We got to get rid of this debt. And it took them a solid decade to get rid of it.
Yeah. There's another story that I have in my life. Rob Donor, who's going to be on later this season, his son, Nate, is currently working for us as a junior buyer. And Nate, as a teenager, 16, 17-year-old, there's no way if somebody came and said, hey, hire Nate, that I would hire Nate, because we had kind of given him a chance before, and he kind of, excuse me.
I met him. Nice young man.
Yeah. He kind of just pissed it away. And he went to, Rob had a hard talk with him about, hey, what's your future going to be? And he ended up going to the Guard, to the National Guard. That kid came back. I don't know where the other Nate went, but he is an outstanding young man today. He has zero debt on anything. And I think I'm not suggesting that everybody should go into the military or anything like that, but I think kids who do go to college or do go to the Guard or something like that, it does amplify their maturity, or let's say it speeds maturity.
Yeah.
It's structuring discipline.
Yeah.
And gives group identity, which drives the motivation when you're in that structured discipline.
Or you could just say, somebody else is paying for them to do stupid, right?
That,
because those years
and they're gonna
make such bad decisions sometimes,
Yeah, and they're gonna run in the Guard. They're gonna run the stupid out of you.
Yeah,
like they're gonna be like, hey, they're gonna figure this out and figure that out. But I'm telling you, I mean, he came back and we hung out a couple times, and I told Rob, I was like, I don't know who that kid is. Like, I mean, his discipline that he does at work today. I mean, he's
on track.
He's going to be a rock star.
So basically that was an education. Does he have any education behind it?
Nope.
Does he need it?
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah,
nope.
But how is that not education, right? And how is that not the foundation that you need to get whatever else you need next?
And they paid him.
Yes.
And boarded him.
Yes.
Like, hello. Well, was he in the not like a reservist? I mean, he was like straight on 40 hours a week type thing.
He was gone for, I don't know what the entry is on that, but I feel like he was gone for almost 24 months. I mean, it was a good bit to do his initial enrollment. So maybe it was reserves and then Guard. I'm not sure exactly
Is he still a reservist now?
Oh, he's still in the Guard now.
Yeah,
so
okay.
so what he has to do with us, there's a cycle there where he'll be gone for a couple weeks, because I'll go in the bullpen and his desk will be, kind of cleared, and actually his and his dad's desks are beside each other.
That's cool.
So
Rob has to be like super proud.
Yeah, he actually got, I forget what the pen is, but recently he got the pen where you have to bail out of the helicopters, rappel out, and he's scared of heights. But so conquering that and getting his pen, that was a really, awesome. Really big deal.
Wow.
And they got to go watch him get, I think they do like a pinning ceremony. But I think to the point, the experience of interacting with all those, those that are above him, and now he's got people that are below him that he's also having to manage. And I mean, he's still a young man. Like, it's not like he's 35. I mean, he is very, very. He's still in his mid-20s.
That book you mentioned in the beginning, Charlie Kirk's book, The Scam or whatever. They mention he gives like this 10 points. Of why it's a scam, and then he gives some suggestions. Right, community college was one of them. Right, it's a cheap entry. I mean, the community college in North Dallas is so cheap. I mean, it's crazy good. And then the other one is gap years. Right, so take some gaps between either semesters or your associates and your before you move on, and get some work experience. Go out, do something that challenges you learn yourself.
And I think those gap years are bigger we are in Germany. I think those gap years are bigger in Europe.
How's that?
That's more. It's part of their so because your university is paid for, and those gap years are built into the program. So
you go 2 years and then a gap.
So it's not an option. So Jimmy Greeny, our guy that works with us out of Ireland, he and I were talking about this about his boys, and I can't remember I don't know if you go all the way 12 years or if it's around the 11th year, and then you take like a 2-year gap to kind of do travel or experience these things or those things. And then what that does is, I think he and I were talking about it builds in a little bit of maturity, just because, as a kid, you've spent all your years just being in school. I mean, your only time to go somewhere is during the summer, and you're going there with mom and dad. So to really experience and get some of that travel under your belt is not really an option. I think that's another thing that doesn't necessarily get talked about a lot, is how overwhelming it is for a kid that's never really traveled from home a lot, and to be 18 years old and go halfway across the country somewhere that they're not used to, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, shoulder the grindstone, let's go. I think that's why a lot of kids end up failing out. As it's not because they're, the kids get a bad rep for partying or doing this or doing that, but there is a lot of pressure on all sides of them whenever especially if they're far from home. Now, I think that's another good thing about the community colleges, not only the cost, but you can stay close to home. And if you stump your toe or you're struggling on a class, you got mom and dad there still, or some of your friends or whatever to kind of lean on.
The other cool thing is there's so much help, really. I mean, if you're going to go to college, right, there is a lot of help. There's a lot of opportunity financially. I'm thinking in particular about my daughter, who now has 3 children. She's a young mother, young married, and she's decided to go back to school because, she didn't have an education. And man, they're paying her to go to school. Yeah. She can make enough to pay for a few things and do her college. It's amazing.
Yeah, there's some tremendous programs.
Yeah. She's going to have a 4-year degree and probably come out with not a lot of bills.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Because she's a young mother.
What is she, probably 25?
24.
Yeah. Yeah. And probably now, I mean, she's had a lot of experience between 18 to 24.
She's got her head on straight. And she's actually a very really smart girl and got some great skills. And I think that if she just has a little bit of steering, she could be amazing, right? So I think school's great for her.
Well, I think that gap's really important. Our oldest, Mackenzie, she's 27 now, just gave us our first beautiful grandbaby.
Grandpa!
Woohoo! Woo-woo. May, Peepaw loves you. So
you're
Mackenzie,
Peepaw?
I'm Peepaw right now.
Peepaw.
But I may be whatever once she talks a little more.
That is the countryest pawpaw name.
You're gonna be Peepaw to me from here on out.
I don't care, son.
She might change it, but you're Peepaw.
I'm Peepaw, and the D is D-Dah. D-Dah and Peepaw. You know what?
There you go.
You can make fun all you want. I'm in love. Mackenzie, she took that gap. She has her psych degree, and she's not practicing with it yet, or not sure what she wants to do because she's full-time mom right now. But she did 2 different stints in Ghana at an orphanage that we were a part of. I think one of those trips was as long as 4 or 5 months, where we were working with an orphanage there. And she also studied abroad outside of Manchester. She also did some foreign exchange work in Spain. So her story, taking these different gaps to travel and experience while then finishing out her degree, has been really beneficial. And she's even in one now with mothering, but as she kind of pivots to see what she might want to do next once this season lets up a little bit.
When she did like the deal in Spain, was that partnered with some, like how did she,
that was she able to through high school, actually.
Okay.
She did 4 years of Spanish. I mean, she's really good with Spanish, but then we had a foreign exchange student from Valencia come stay with us for a bit, and then she went on a large trip there with her class and did travel, and it's it's quite thought out, but organized through the high school was that particular
that's impressive.
program.
That's
and
tremendous.
it was amazing. And that was one of her first international deals, but then that led to her spending 2 different stints in Ghana at an orphanage, and then eventually studying abroad too.
Wow.
But the pace, and I guess all that I want to point out is I felt like it was incredibly healthy as she found different things that she liked. She's kind of in and out, rather than it just being a grind. The moment you throw your cap, you've got to now just put your nose to the grind. So she has a
4-year degree, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, by the time her, is it a daughter, right?
Yes.
It's a little baby.
May.
By the time she's like kindergarten or whatever, there probably come a season where she wants to revisit all of that, and she has something, now she really knows what she's about,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's healthy. It's very human, because the pressure that certain systems or what we allow to become normative often doesn't fit in a human rhythm. And so it's good to leave yourself some room to discover some things, because look, all of us are on this earth to do something, and it is to figure out what we want. To think you're going to know that when you graduate from high school is absurd. But finding room, and I would also say, while I said that, in the other hand, it's like, hey, get started. But you don't have to put the pressure, on and spend a ton of money. You don't have to necessarily start that way to get started.
Yeah.
For kids, I feel particularly for young ladies, because, they go through 12 years of school. Now you go through 4 years of college. Then you get a job, and you feel like you have to ramp up to a certain level of career. And then they get to their 30s or something,
Yeah.
Maybe they're married, and they've been waiting around for 4 or 5 years, and all, then you're in your mid-30s, and you're like, I want a family.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels a little backwards. I know that's been the kind of like the ideal, but I wonder if we're being less human, by driving that kind of model for young ladies. I don't know. That's a tangential thought, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of that depends on the woman themselves,
True.
As far as what they want to do. I mean, in my C-suite, 2 of my C-suites are women, and
career ladies.
I'm super thankful they picked it, because they're badass. I mean, as far as what they do. But if you are going to build a family, typically the baby's going to come from the woman.
Is that how that works?
Yeah, that's kind of
That's another podcast.
Yeah, that's another podcast.
We'll explore that a little more.
Yeah, but
that's under question.
At a minimum, it's very disruptive for them.
Absolutely.
So when they choose that path to be career and professionals, it definitely is challenging. So yeah,
and you say what you want, the kid's not going to get the best of them.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
I mean,
but
that's tough.
Yeah, but that's that's another podcast as well.
Yeah, right.
In terms of what that situation and setting looks like. But at a minimum, it is definitely very difficult for them. I think one of the just to kind of segment into something else, that if you ask yourself, well, why would we even pursue university? I mean, it's not for entertainment. It's because we want to get jobs, right? I mean, we've kind of got something in mind, something down the road that we really want to try to accomplish. And statistics right now are telling us that almost 50%. I mean, you're doing this for employment, and about 50% are in. They might not be unemployed, but what's called underemployed. So they're shelling out this cash to try to get a job, and 50% are not able to get a job with what their degree is. So there's definitely there's a disconnect or a disassociation for what's going on there. And in my experience with Evan, just real quick, one of the challenges, so he was part of a private school that we were trying to get started, get kicked off. And in that, what we were trying to do is, if your path as a high schooler was, you would be in the high school all the way up through 10th grade. But then at the grade of 11 and 12, you would do what's called, in Kentucky and some other states, dual enrollment. So essentially, you're going to the local community college. That wasn't unique to the private school we were trying to start. The only thing that was unique is that was the only path. So a lot of high schools now. So that school is now closed, and my daughter is at Madisonville North Hopkins, and they only allow a selection of kids to do the dual enrollment. So you kind of have to pre-qualify and stuff like that. So that's not a knock. It's just a little bit different. But in that, one of the things that we learned is that in all of these varying degrees, so whether it's an associate's degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree, there's this what I've come to call bloat in the degree system. So if you're going to get an associate's degree, you have to get certain things to have that associate's degree. Well, if you take that degree and then you transfer, he went to Belmont. So whether you transfer to Belmont, University of Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Harvard, wherever you decide to go, it's not that those extra courses that you took are not qualified, but they're not accepted as part of the degree. So in other words, basically you've spent time and you've spent money taking those classes, and they're not rolling up into what your next degree is. Yeah. So if you need X amount of credits to graduate with your bachelor's degree from said school, you're going to have significantly more credits that you're not getting credit for.
Because this doesn't apply particularly to the thing you're studying.
That's correct. And you'll go to a school and they're like, well, we know you had economics, but we want you to take economics our way. So there is within the system, and I think maybe I haven't read his book about the scam, but at a minimum, there is a disconnect from university to university that says, okay, well, what can we do to get these kids on track the fastest and for the least amount of money? So, for example, Evan did all that. He graduated graduated high school with his associate's degree. He's at the University of Belmont in Nashville to get his finance degree. He's been there for 3 years. He'll graduate this spring, but this is the first year
he's actually studying
that he's actually doing finance.
Yeah.
So, like, he had to take a class that was spike ball.
Spike ball. Okay.
Now, I paid the same amount for that class as I'm paying for his 4,000 level classes right now. Now, a 4-year degree with Belmont is over $200,000.
Well, spike balls, pretty valuable.
Spike ball.
But
spike ball.
You know what I'm saying? So
I hear you, man. That's absurd.
So I think that's between what we talked about in the first section about, hey, kids are graduating with too much debt, and then now, they're coming into the situation and they can't get employment. I feel like that's the disconnect, to where, like Kinsey, where she got those other experiences. If she applied to a job for Tungco, I don't care where she got her degree, those world experiences that she would put on her resume, unless it had to be like a chemistry, something like very, very specific
to that job.
I would be looking at her world experience far more than anything else.
Agreed.
By far.
Well, and it says so much about the broadness of that person and the individual too, and how they're going to work. It's another indicator of the quality of the worker and what they're going to bring to the table.
Yeah.
And it's valuable, and it's learning and education as well. Those experiences are education.
Do you think she spent more on her getting her degree or on those travel experiences? Like, how would you?
The degree was still probably much more expensive.
More expensive.
Yeah. She's still paying for it, for sure.
Yeah.
The last part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. She had some assistance too, and she graduated just a hair from the associate's degree.
Yeah.
So she did 2 years, what was called in Washington, running start. So she had the benefit of that. Yeah. As well.
Yeah.
It's a good program to go ahead and get started.
Well, and back to Paul's point about Preston, like, I feel like Preston's the kid that can, if it takes 5 years to master something, I think Preston cuts about a year to a year and a half off that.
whatever job he gets in, he ends up being the go-to person, the maven for whatever.
Because
he's the fix-it guy.
It's how his brain works. He's not interested in lifting off the gas until he can go full stop on everything. Now that's a very, very unique characteristic. But I know Preston really well, but again, if he was submitting a resume to Tungco and he put those things on that he's mastered, to me, that's, again, in other words, it's what you can do, not the time you've put in at a certain place. What do you mean? It's the experiential side of it.
Okay.
So, yes, if somebody's hopped around 6 months, we've touched on that before, that shows a little bit of problematic, but when you're showing mastery level on something, I would take somebody that has mastered those multiple skill sets, again, whether it was taught in university or self-taught, Royce, you've clearly mastered things. I'm not busting your chops here. I mean, you have clearly mastered some stuff, but that is from your own volition, putting it in, self-discipline, trying to, push yourself, right?
And pursuing a few mentors to get near and learn. Yeah, absolutely.
So I think for me as an employer, that is as valuable as anything. And the statistics are showing us that, right now, if you look, it's on Indeed, there's only 18% of the jobs throughout. I think the stats were for 2024, only 18% required a degree. I mean, that is a very, very, very small number.
I've been pointing, young people to the insurance industry, for instance. Okay, you can, right out of, young adult, you can get a certification as an insurance adjuster and be a desk adjuster. It's not a high-paying job, but the ceiling is wide open, right? If you're a good worker, you can work lots of hours. If you're a good worker, you're going to be noticed and brought along. And if you go to a big box insurance company, the fact that you would have a degree is less important than your job function as you move up the ladder. And that's just straight up. I like helping people with that. I think it's true of the trades, right?
Yep.
So being an electrician, being a plumber. I mean, I know some guys that have, some men I know with 4 kids, their wife's home, and they're plumbers. And dude, they're making bank.
Yeah. Electricians, carpenters.
Man, they're making great money. HVAC, refrigeration.
HVAC, skilled labor.
Yes.
Is wide open. It's crazy. And with the coming, it's here, but the future development of AI, those jobs are still somewhat secure for the time being. I do eventually think they're going to get a robot that's dexterous enough to do plumbing. But those are still opportunities. It's amazing, right? Where it's maybe more advantageous for some to consider getting a skill because, man, that is high demand right now and good pay.
It's almost like you could have that and then go to school.
Exactly.
What I mean?
You get that established because here's the thing for me. I lean intellectual, in what I've learned and hopefully, like you said, thank you, mastered in some ways. Man, I'd love to do a little more carpentry. I wish I knew a little bit more about plumbing.
Yeah.
I think that's a path of finding yourself because the skill, whether you like it or it's who you are, it doesn't matter. That skill is always going to be beneficial.
Yeah.
Get a skill under your belt. Then you know more about who you are. Mm-hmm. And that skill is never going to not be of value in some way.
Listen.
But then you can find more about where you want to be in the higher education aspect.
There's this guy that I met a few months back. He had been a CPA and grinding it out as an accountant, and he had this opportunity from somebody he did books for to buy a kind of a unique niche business. And what they do is they go into commercial properties or homes and they back test with air where a leak might be, a plumbing leak. So you're losing water, right? Where's it happening? So you go to the main, you hook up a power pressure air, and you shoot this air into the lines, and then it starts, making noise somewhere, and he goes around with a listening device. Mm-hmm. And okay, to do this on a commercial job that we had, it was $900 or something. He had 3 of them that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, he's probably late 50s. He can't find somebody to take this business from him. He runs it out of the back of a little SUV. And it's $200,000 a year.
Yeah.
And the equipment is in the back of this SUV that he bought.
That's incredible.
It's been paid for forever, and it wasn't much anyway.
Yeah.
And it's desperately needed.
Oh,
it's desperately
like
needed.
he can't get
Yeah.
to everything. He has to turn things down.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't find somebody that will even work alongside of him. And, I'm like, wow.
Well, that's the history of labor. I know you're keyed up, but I just want to say that's the history of labor right there. And I don't think we're ever going to get too far from that, or we shouldn't, in the sense that people develop skills because those skills were needed. I think it's good for all of us, no matter how high intellect
to
you
have
lean,
some of that, yeah.
to have a little bit of a skill.
Yeah.
Be able to do something like this, and then that doesn't prevent you from going on, or it doesn't even have to be your career, but
Yeah.
it might be a wiser step for some to just pick up a skill
Absolutely.
Yeah.
and find more about who you are, and then make the big investments as
Yeah.
needed or desired.
Well, one of the biggest things that stood out to me when we were starting that school was that society has definitely evolved
For sure.
a lot over the last 30 years. I mean, the world looks totally different. And what we're seeing right now is, for this generation that's coming on, is one of the first generations in years that are not doing better than the previous generation.
Yep.
Part of that, I think, is the parents, is tied to the parents. So parents, hate on me if you want, but we've become major enablers. I mean, right now, the Obamacare Act extended how long they can even stay on insurance, which is like up to 26 years old that they can stay on insurance. I know parents right now who are subsidizing their kids all the way up to their 30s. And then at the same time, we would have parents sit down and talk to us about what their kid's career path was. And it would be like, I want my kid to be a doctor. I want my kid to be a lawyer. And I'm like, hey, guys, maybe that ship has sailed. Because when you look at the stats on a lawyer, unless you're going to be top tier, and when I say top tier, I mean 1%, you're going to go get a law degree and you're going to graduate with a shit ton of debt, and you're going to make about $45,000.
And they're going to work you about 60, 70 hours.
Correct.
First.
Now, there's no way I'm going to advise my kid on doing that. When there's these trade jobs like you're talking about, where they can go have very little debt or no debt. I've got a buddy that owns an engineering firm. He can't get enough people to sign up because the way the engineer, it's not like it's not. I don't know a lot about engineering, but it's maybe the less sexy kind of engineering stuff. And he's like, well into the 6-figure paying, and would pay for their college, and can't get kids to get committed,
Yeah.
right? So I just think our viewpoint sometimes is like, as parents, is, well, that's not what I had in mind for my kid. And we do them a better service to be like, well, maybe you didn't have in mind for them to be a plumber or to be an engineer or the doctor, lawyer, whatever. That ship has sailed. We got to get over that and figure out where can we empower them. And truthfully, it may not all be about making 6 figures, because money's not everything at the end of the day. It's great, but we do I want my kids to be happy, whether they work in the business or they decide to go volunteer somewhere and work nonprofit for the rest of their life, So I think a key component in this is for parents to have a really good understanding as to where their kids are excelling, but also not see these other careers as lower level or beneath, because in my mind, they're not. They're very, very critical
And
to
they're the
society.
the small safe haven from AI, at least for right now.
Yeah.
Because I do think eventually, what was Hinton, he's considered, got the Nobel Peace Prize, considered the godfather of AI, was saying that learn to plumb, to be a plumber. But others are saying too, it won't be long, or it's not indefinite that they won't be able to be a plumber eventually too. But the key there is, I think it's just worth making a note on workism as well. It's that we live in a time where we're expecting way too much from a career, rather than just the practicality of what it provides for us.
Yeah.
And I think in some ways, the advent of AI, it frees us up again to think a little bit more practical about why we work, what do we work for, and what that is meant to accomplish. For example, it's not going to provide all the meaning in your life.
Yeah.
It's not going to provide you with a full formed identity.
Right.
It's just something that we need to do to provide.
Yeah.
And if you get a little bit more out of that, well, that's a blessing. But
Yeah.
to expect it from every career is a bit absurd.
Yeah, so you mentioning AI, I think it was season 2, we did an episode on AI, and not too long ago, Sam Altman, the creator of OpenAI, he was on Theo Von, and he said that he wasn't sure that there would be a need, or I may not get this quite right, but his kid may not go to university, because of the training or the capabilities of AI. And that is a real question right now. I mean, you guys saw how fast I printed out even just a segment for this pod. I mean, today we did it in just it was like less than 60 seconds, right, when we were working on the layout of that. And Royce, I mean, you're self-learned, self-taught. I mean, when you started at 18, there wasn't even Amazon. Amazon probably wasn't even a thing, yeah?
No, I went and smelled bookstores.
Yeah, so it's Barnes and Noble.
Beautiful place.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a glorious smell. I mean, yeah.
It's Barnes and Noble. Go to the library. So then you have the advent of Amazon. But when they're first coming out, we're still just buying. I mean, we forget that they're still just buying books. That's what you're doing.
Are you reading digital books? Do you read digital books?
I do a little bit of digital, but I still like my organic books, man. Yeah.
I'm same, yeah.
And I like audio because it allows me to do something and still take in when my hands are busy, but my mind doesn't have to be on that thing. And then I can take
I can't do that either.
If it's a book I really like, I actually do all three.
Yes.
Really?
And the
too.
beautiful
Yes.
thing about Amazon and Kindle, not to drop a note to Bezos there, but if you have a certain package now, and it's audio,
like the package we got for the hotel here.
yeah,
This one thing?
yeah.
Is aircon in that package and maybe a coffee maker?
It might be.
How about a mini fridge?
It might be
Do
the
they have
premium
paint?
package.
Do they have paint in your room on the walls? Okay.
It's like, ma'am, could we turn the AC on? Sir, you didn't
You
purchase
don't have
that
that
package.
So if I'm really trying to devour the book, I'll pull it up digitally, and I can listen to it on audio through the same device. And as I'm listening to it, it's highlighting it. So I'm not only reading it, because I'm more of a rule learner. I've learned better listening. But if I do both, if I tag them
Yes.
together,
Well,
it almost becomes photographic.
Yes.
And then if it's like a super duper solid book, I just like to have it because I want to have it in my hand, still kind of going back to that. But to back up to you going to the bookstores, my point was, it wasn't just at your fingertips.
No.
Like right now, we can just, even the book, the Charlie Kirk book, we can just pull it up right now and in 2 seconds, buy it and be reading a segment of it while we're sitting here, like that fast.
And with AI, you've got all of Barnes and Noble walking with you, and it's not just the data, but something synthesizing that data like a mind.
Yeah.
And we've never had a tool like that ever.
So there's a big copyright debate going on right now within AI. So
For sure.
Are they going to be able to share the book data or not? For me, I think those copyrights should still be protected.
Yes.
What I like that's happening is if I'm searching a subject, then what it does is it kind of gives not a true bibliography, but it'll say, hey, I pulled this segment.
It has a little credit.
So when you get down to the bottom and you're going to like, okay, I'm going to take a deep dive, then I can click on that and go to that book.
It's like organized. It's a little less than Cliff Notes, unless you keep digging and keep asking. Then it'll go deeper and deeper. It's very robust.
Yeah, so Gemini is the one that I use the most. I think you use ChatGPT, right?
Same.
And so you can actually do their research section is very, very deep. So when we were using that to write some of the job descriptions and do different things, we actually had to refine it because it was printing out descriptions and segments if you were doing the deep research that were up to 20 pages long. So we had to keep chewing it down and chewing it down and chewing it down to get it where it was more bite sized.
But in the workplace too, I mean, like mechanically. So Preston was saying the other day he's been training his various sites at Amazon for coding, things that are like lists. He said that he used to have to fill out, take a long time. It's just like, here, take this data, and he dumps it, and he said, and put this in a logical order. It was just like same thing that he would do with his brain, shifting things. It just does it for him.
Yeah.
Or code this in a certain language so that it does. And he says it's flawless. He said it really does. If you know how to ask the question, it will give you the
Prompts
right
are
information.
Yeah, if you know how to do the prompt.
prompts are
Now,
critical.
that's not necessarily what we're talking about, but it is of note.
That's a working function.
That is AI is going to carve those jobs out. Coders, I would be, if I was in code, I would be extremely concerned right now because I know nothing about code, and I wrote code the other day to create, or AI wrote the code to create a digital dashboard for me. Now, what I don't know how to do is to take that and put it over into a program that can be full-time launched. But it's not going. We're not very far away before that step is also eliminated.
Yeah, it's like point and click type
to
stuff for somebody who doesn't know anything about it.
Yeah, but to just come back to the education piece a little bit, Royce, just kind of share what you and I were talking about the other day about how the OpenAI platform is learning how you learn and what you're studying, and it's saying, oh, it seems like you're doing more of this now. I mean, you're almost in a conversation with it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I've thrown so many things into it, and ask it a question. It's like, what have you discovered about me? And it's like, well, in some of your coaching, straight up, it says because I put all my profiles, so Enneagram, Myers-Briggs, DISC, every single, and I think I've done just about all the major ones. I threw it in there because I wanted it to know that, which is kind of scary too, that I might be talking to Skynet, who knows me so well. But I said, so anywhere along the line, if my logic is flawed in something, I want you to speak back. So I told it too, I want to stop the sycophantic behavior, which they are, the algorithm's currently wired to be incredibly supportive and all that. Yeah. But like, I want pushback, So in that conversation, it was like, I noticed that some of the way you describe your coaching interactions, you're high energy because you want to invest in people and build them up, but you might not be pulling them along quick enough. I thought it was an unbelievable observation. That was right on the money, which is just uncanny that it's an algorithm telling me that, but it was spot on. And it's not something I've ever heard from any mentor. I've never heard it from anyone, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to apply that.
Yeah, but to that point, like, what mentor could consume all that data that you put in there that is specifically about you, that, so it is able to take that in a scientific way, say, hey, maybe pull a little bit here, maybe pull a little bit there. And if we apply that to education, let's say what
would it cost you to have a coach
to
walk you
just
through that?
tell you, your
$10,000.
personal
Well, you're not
learning
even
at that
gonna.
point.
That's. I don't think it's even possible to get that. I don't really. I mean, who has the time to decipher all of his, for him? All of his Myers-Briggs. They would have to be one-on-one working with him, and more than likely, they'd just be putting it in some kind of program that would be spitting out something.
So I did a similar thing with a couple of 3 or 4 young people that I was mentoring, and we went through the Working Genius, and we did the DISC, and we did a couple other things. Anyway, I put it all in, and I said, what sort of work would this person with this profile?
It's so helpful.
And it listed it out, like you would want to avoid these kinds of jobs, you would do well. And I'm telling you, it lit them up. They would just practically hugged me. You know what I mean? Like it changed what they were doing for their college classes, what they were pursuing for jobs right now. I mean, it defined a lot of their direction. And I didn't even do anything except just put it all in there,
Well, in a similar thing, I said, how can I direct my energies? And it gave me three things to avoid and 3 things to focus on. And I'm absolutely using that right now.
It's like the law and commandments for you.
Yeah, seriously, because it makes me alive to stay on the 3, but it synthesized all the data about my type, my personality.
All right, so let's apply that to education for just a second.
Certainly.
So Evan ended up, and I'm not a knock on Belmont, all right, but Evan ended up taking about 4 classes that he didn't have to take. Well, 4 classes is the equivalent of a semester.
Yeah,
right?
Significant amount of money, too.
Yeah, and a significant amount of money. Now, you have these universities that are getting all of this money. None of them are doing what you just said you did for those people you're coaching, even though every student on campus has an advisor.
Yeah. They're still kind of just trying to find their way at school,
Correct.
taking this class, that class.
And hear me when I say this. I'm not saying the schools don't have their best interest in mind.
Certainly.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the schools are so institutionalized in a path. I don't think they know where the exit ramp is.
No.
It's so convoluted. It's not easy for them to offboard. To Sam Altman's point, if they don't, they're going to be forced to, because what's going to happen is there's going to be things pop up like this, because we're talking about doing that at Tungco. It's like, why would we go do this option when we can do exactly what you just mentioned? We can recruit people, work with them through that. And they might be like, hey, I don't need a total education, but they shine here. And maybe we just pay for a few classes.
Absolutely.
And it's like, hey, let them get this, let them get that under their belt, get comfortable. It's what fits them. And then bam, they take off.
And maybe
they have zero debt. It didn't cost us any more money. In fact, it probably saved us money, because now we're invested in each other. And they're thriving because they're working in an area where they're like, dude, this fits my gifts. To touch on what you've talked about before, Royce, that fits their calling better. Sorry.
So like finding champions, you just know when you have one.
Yeah.
When they're sitting there, you can just tell a young person, and I tell kids that I mentor, because I pick them, sometimes they'll come and ask me, but mostly I pick them. And I said, I'm not doing this because I don't have anything else to do.
Yeah.
I'm doing this because I see something in you I don't even think you see in yourself.
Yeah.
So, taking a person like that in your job situation and saying, okay, here's some core learnings that everybody, for instance, at Tungco or some said industry, these are core learnings. It doesn't matter if you're running books or you're at the front desk. You really just need to know these things about the industry, our industry. There might be that core learning.
Yeah.
And then you take a specific path for them, metallurgy, chemical engineering, whatever it is, some certification, forklift, whatever it is, right? And you give them that specific training. How valuable is that? You become the institution. You become the educator. You don't even have to reach outside of your business.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think Sam Altman is probably on to it.
Yes.
That it might not be everybody's path, but I do think.
Well, it's about to disrupt higher education.
I think it's going to very much disrupt higher education. And Sam Altman is the creator of OpenAI, so we're not talking about people who aren't tech. He is one of the tech pioneers right now, right? So
you have a university in your pocket.
Yeah,
that's
100%.
Another way to look at it. It's like, how is that? Okay, just the same way. That's what Steve Jobs said when he was 97 in the first iPhone. He called it internet in your pocket. Well, man, little did we know how disruptive that was actually going to be. Well, now because you have internet in your pocket, you with AI have university profs, human history, knowledge of human history, right? Which you could get technically at a good university as well. It's going to be in your pocket.
Yeah.
It's everywhere you go.
Yeah.
You ask, And again, I do think, and this is probably another time for another day, but it has the potential to mess with the way humans learn. So there is a conversation there in that structured.
Lazy? You get lazy?
Yes. And there are some studies already that it is making people dumber, but it's how you use it. If you could train people to use it smartly, it can also expand your knowledge. But I think is going to be a concern going forward.
I think using it as a resource is at least right now, it's like a resource to pull from. Okay, so like I was doing some commercial real estate some years back, and I was sitting in rooms where we were talking about banking, and I just felt like I was swimming in acronyms. Yeah. I'm like, they're talking, I'm like, I don't even know what in the world they just said. So, then it prompted me to go for 2 semesters to get some real estate training and some business finance training. And I did 2 semesters of that. It doesn't add up to any degree or anything. I just did it because I wanted to, right? Understand and have so that I wasn't lost in some of those conversations and embarrass myself. But if I had AI at that time, and this was just a few years ago, maybe less than 10 years ago.
Yeah.
If I had AI at that time, probably wouldn't have done that.
Yeah,
because I would have
been your educator.
Yeah, I would have just been cramming, cramming at night. Like, what does that mean? And hungry to learn it, so you would grasp it. You know?
The fine line there is that lazy or disciplined approach to AI. And I know this could be something we talk about more in the future.
Yeah.
But like, if you just use AI to fill in the blank, you're going to get dumber.
Yeah.
But if you are using it to learn with the same diligence as you would have trying to get your pass your chemistry class, then it's going to benefit you in the same way. But I think it's going to be how humans use it as to whether or not it makes us smarter or makes us dumber.
Yeah.
But it's going to change.
For sure.
It's changing everything.
Yeah.
And it's going to be probably faster than anyone's ready to realize.
Yeah. So I think, wherever the kids are at, your kids, my kids, you guys got grandkids in the pipeline now. Ooh, and so it's a big thing to consider. But it's definitely AI as being a disruptor. But in general, I think we all agree that education is super important.
Very
so
needed.
We're not saying, that we're not saying that it's not. What we're saying, that's what we're saying is, how are we going to get it? How do we get the college debt down? I mean, $1.7 trillion, while certain universities are sitting on $45 billion in endowments and say they can't operate without federal funding and this and that.
Yeah. If you called Harvard's GDP, it's like it's in the top 10 in the world.
They would be one of the biggest VCs or any of those things. As far as the fund, they would be up there at the top.
And then how does the education too lead to actual jobs, right? So it's not just the delivery, but what does it lead to?
Because it's you go to school
to get a job,
to get employment.
That's it.
And so that's where that gap needs to be closed, so that they're not, graduating and been like, hey, I think
it could be argued, that you should back into your education. It's almost like the military is a good path for someone to kind of get their legs under them and some things like that. But backing into education after you understand what you want, rather than the other way around.
It's wise. And how do you establish your disciplines? Not every family does that well, but establishing those are going to be critical to any future success.
You're talking about rhythms of study?
Period. Just self-discipline in general. That's why the military can be at times such a benefit, or a skilled labor that you learn, just where you get those patterns of discipline that are going to be probably one of the most beneficial things for the rest of your life, is to establish that.
Yeah. All right, boys, this has been a great conversation.
Man,
it's a super important one.
Absolutely.
And we're not higher learned people, but
I sure ain't.
But we got AI in our pocket.
That's right.
Give me a Brother Farnsworth sign off there.
Praise the Lord, brother. I might not be educated, but I'm anointed.
Perfect. That's been another episode of Misfit Social Podcast. Love you, boys. Let's go.